tried to stop and I couldn't stop, and it was horrific.
I was unfaithful about, roughly 2 years into the relationship.
It did really destroy me.
The core of the infidelity was not practicing what I preached.
We weren't into monogamy. It just doesn't work for us.
I thought it was a girlfriend and discovered that he was actually having sexual relations with men.
And now, the presenter of Insight, Jenny Brocky.
Hi, and thanks for joining us. Public sex scandals, we just can't get enough of them. Take a seemingly tidy public life, blast through it with some tawdry details of sex on the side, and wait for the instalments. The extra women who come forward, or the younger man. The text messages, the love child, or the credit card receipts from prostitutes. Just when you thought it couldn't get any worse, it often does. Then it's a mea culpa for the cameras, often with a stony-faced political wife in tow, or a solemn trip to sex rehab. People go to extraordinary lengths to chase their desires, cover their tracks, and keep up appearances. But given the prevalence of infidelity, how realistic is the idea of monogamy? And why do some relationships survive cheating when others don't? Tonight, a room full of people who want to talk about what really goes on in relationships. Welcome, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Good to have you all here, and you can join in via Twitter as well. I'd like to start, David King, with you. You're a private investigator. How much of your time is spent chasing after people you're trying to catch who might be cheating on their partners?
Probably most of it. It's our core income for what our company does, and it's our main target market.
And is there a lot of business in that area?
Look, we do fine. It's a fairly small industry. So if you look at the number of people in Sydney, it's probably not a huge number. I think infidelity is around everywhere, but only a certain type of person will use an investigator.
Well, our producer, Ronan Sharkey, hit the road with you the other night. Let's have a look at what happened.
Right. Tonight's job is a female client, mid-20s, lives in a separate address to her boyfriend, and she just suspects him. He goes to the gym, and does he go to the gym? What does he do after that? Is it all above board? If he does go straight home, that's one of her questions, like, he's not available for me on a Tuesday night. If he does go straight home, what else could be the case? We're getting a bit close now, so you might want to put that camera down. Well, we've pulled up some distance from our target, put upside a house with a hedge so that the people that live in that house can't actually see us. And so now our job is to sit back and wait until we take what's called an establishing shot, basically to prove to the client that you're in position at the right time. We also have a bag camera, hidden camera in this one. Showing all the tricks of the trade here. There's a lens in there. You've got to be discreet. You can't walk in with this held up. You've got to have something that's going to film more discreetly. There we go. That looks like our guy, doesn't it? He had a backpack over his back. That's him for sure. The car just hazard lights went on. He's got to put it, so he's unlocked it. The hardest part of a mobile surveillance is the takeoff.
Why is that?
Well, because they can get away so quickly. Get a job done. Is he still there? I reckon he might have got around that corner.
So we've lost him?
Yes, we have, but I'm not overly concerned. Jeez, now we've got the longest red arrow you've ever seen. Camera down, camera down, camera down. I think that's him there. Camera down. That's him just there on the left. He's not even looking at us. So he's not sus, that's good.
What are you doing now, David?
Just a shot of him now, just walking through the trees there, because that's going to tell you where he is. What's her name? Just to let her know he's at the gym. You don't normally look over your shoulder unless you're doing something really badly wrong, right? Otherwise you've got no reason to look.
Tell us what's happening now.
Well, we've been here half an hour. Target's obviously in the gym. doing his workout. We've just got to sit and wait now. Our boy's back and he's alone. It's going to be a car chase. What time is it now? 20:45. So he was in there for 45 minutes. Didn't do a full hour. And he's normally out of touch till 11 or so, if she hears from him at all. That's in that situation. We have to be behind him to turn around this corner. Right. Oh, well, looks like we're going to the pub. I'm certainly going to have to get out here. Come on, buddy, move it, move it, move it. I'll leave you guys here for a moment. I'll get back to you.
So what's happening?
He's met a young lady. With this camera, we'll be able to film their entire... I assume they're going to have a drink or two.
How'd you go?
Oh, they had dinner, dessert, a couple of drinks. They leaned in very, very close at one stage. It's going to be one of those ones that the client's going to have to make her own decision.
Were you able to film much in the pub?
Yeah, I had the bag cam going the entire time. Well, they're leaving. We're following now to see where they're going. So we're heading back towards his place. If she goes into his house, is that not something the client's going to be interested in? Yeah, there's two. It came out on film. Oh, front door open. Okay. Well, that was exciting.
So what do you think you've got?
See all that? That took 2 minutes. From where they just left to here, the whole thing took 2 minutes. What have we waited a couple of hours for it? But see, we don't know who this girl is. This is the thing, and it's going to come down to a bit of a chat with the client to see if she might have a clue. I better call this client. It's David. Yeah, David the Investigator. How are you? And as he walked in the door, there was a blonde girl sitting there waiting for him. They had a bit of a Euro welcome. When I say Euro welcome, it was a bit innocuous. There was nothing to it. It was not a big hug or kiss. It was just like the Euro kiss. Yes, I guess intimate is it, but they weren't doing anything. It was just natural. You know what I mean? And that stage where you're going to have to see the video yourself to make any, life decisions. No problems. Okay. All right. Bye.
David, what happened when your client saw the video?
I didn't hear from it straight away. In fact, I had to call her today because I knew you'd want an update. She saw the video. She didn't hate what she saw. It was just a person. It was just another female. She then talked to him about trying to get information out of him without him realising what had happened, what she knows. And he said that after the gym he did meet a girl from university, and that was at the pub, and that didn't mention him going back to his place, but she's not overly worried about that because his parents live there as well.
Okay, so she got a story that satisfied her, but she's still hiring you and presumably paying you quite a lot of money to do this, yeah?
Well, this was the first night. It's one of those ones where she may come back. She's still deciding whether to go again.
And how much do you charge, and how many people pay money for that sort of thing?
Well, we charged an hourly rate because we don't know how long our job's going to take, so we just bill our hours out at $95 an hour, for the same price as a plumber. But, it can get up there. It was only a few hours, that job, but I've had jobs that go for months or years. One client spent $500,000 over 4 years.
$500,000 over 4 years to get what?
Whatever satisfied her needs.
Okay. How often do you catch someone, just quickly?
I reckon 80% of the time. Not on the first night, but out of every...
A few eyes rolling back here.
Out of every 80 people...
There are quite a few people watching that, just stunned.
Out of every 100 people that come to us, I reckon we'd probably get a result on 80. There might be even a bit higher if they kept going, could afford a little bit more.
Okay, just a bit of spruiking going on here too, I think, for the business. But anyway, how common do people think cheating is? Daryl, do you think it's common?
With guys, it's about 70%, maybe 60 to 70%.
60 to 70% of guys cheat on their partners.
I think so.
100% of men you would not get a single man that was mentally monogamous.
Any of the men like to take issue with that?
Please explain.
Well, it's part of man's biology. It is the way nature made men to look at women of the opposite sex and to think about whether he would like sex or not with them. So I'm not suggesting for a moment that he actually does the deed, but he thinks about it a lot. If you look or pervert
someone, so to speak, that's classified as a sort of a...
Absolutely, that's mental monogamy, and so it's mental infidelity, if you like.
Daryl, tell us your story, because what happened with your second wife just before you married her?
I did the wrong thing before we were married, and then we got married. We did get married, but it was never the same. I told her what had happened, and the relationship was never. It was always on edge all the time.
And you were living with someone else when you started seeing Rachel,
I was, yes.
Who's your partner now. Rachel, how do you feel about Daryl, given that history?
He's been very honest with me, and I wasn't incredibly happy about our start, but he was very honest. Into about 2 weeks, he told me. He turned up at my house unexpectedly and just looked very guilty, and he just came out with it, and he said, I'm living with someone, and I was devastated, of course, and I just said, he said, I'll leave if you want me to, and we talked about it, and I said, I felt a very strong connection with him, and I said, I'm going to give you this chance to find out what you want to do, but until then, there is no more.
Now, you've got strong feelings about cheating too, haven't you?
I do. I think if you're in a committed relationship with someone, that it's just not on, and I don't think you ever recover. I have had a previous serious relationship where the partner cheated on me, and I was quite young, and I forgave them, and we just kept going on, and then something else happened. It was actually with the same person, and he said, oh, nothing happened. And nothing may have happened, but it was the act of wanting to be with that person without me around, wanting to confide things in that person that he didn't want to confide in me. To me, that's a type of infidelity.
OK, so it wasn't just about sex for you, it's about more than that.
Absolutely.
Infidelity is about more than just sex.
And it just ruined honesty and trust that we had, and that was a core issue as to why we broke up.
OK, so Daryl, how confident are you that you can be monogamous?
I feel pretty good now. It's I think in some ways when you cheat on someone, it's sometimes it's self-esteem. Problems with your self-esteem where you think that there's a conquest. I can get that. I can do that. I feel good now, but it's even though you feel good, like Rachel will ring me and she'll say, "Where are you?" And I'll think, "Oh, Rachel thinks I'm somewhere else." Doesn't think I'm actually where I am. And that's always in the back of your mind. OK,
but how much temptation is out there?
There's a lot of temptation out there. There is. And it's like you said, that 100% monogamy, mental monogamy is really difficult. And you're right, it's probably more 110%. So, it's just
how are you feeling, Rachel?
Unfortunately...
I do feel confident. He is a plumber and he's in a different place all the time. Part of the reason I ask where he is I'm fascinated as to which suburb he's in right now and what he's doing.
Sure.
And I'll say...
And being a plumber, how much temptation is
I'll say, I'm
here,
here, where are you? I'm where I want to be, where are you? Don't question me.
OK, and is there much temptation out there in the world of plumbing, Daryl?
Oh, there is, yeah. There is sometimes.
OK, Joe, I wanted to talk to you about what happened 2 years into your relationship with your partner, Sean. Tell us what happened.
I was unfaithful about, roughly 2 years into the relationship. It wasn't anything to do with the relationship, and I think that's where people say that it's a very selfish thing that you do, but in that way it is, but in that way it's also not a reflection on your partner or on the status of the relationship at that time.
So what was it about? Just sex?
Habit.
Habit? What habit? The habit of cheating, or...?
No, the habit of wanting to be the person that I was before the relationship, I think. I felt that I'd lost a part of myself, and I wanted to get it back for a little while.
So was it a one-off fling, or was it an affair?
Yeah, it was a one-off. Yeah.
It was a one-off.
Yeah.
How did it make you feel, Sean?
It hurt, yeah. It did really destroy me.
And what was the worst thing about it for you? Was it the sexual betrayal? Was there lying involved in this?
Yeah, well, there was, yeah. There was lying involved. And it was more the lying about it than anything. Just
I think that's...
well, yeah. And the sex thing as well. It's...
Have you ever cheated on anyone? No. And have you got regrets about it, Joe?
Yeah, I do.
And where has it left the two of you in terms of your relationship?
I think our relationship's probably stronger now than it was before all that happened.
Definitely.
Graham, you were a Baptist minister when you had an affair with a member of your congregation. Why couldn't you practice what you preached?
Actually, I'm happy to blame the Baptist, but I wasn't.
Oh, I thought you were.
I was a Church of Christ pastor, but they'd be probably happy for me to claim to be a Baptist minister.
Sorry to all the Baptists at home.
I think you put your finger right on it. The core of the infidelity was not practicing what I preached. So there was an infidelity that left my word being not authentic. There was cover-up and there was lies. It was 11 years ago. And I visited great heartache upon everyone I loved.
But why? Why did you do it?
You know what? The more time goes by, the more I think the question of why matters less. The big question is that it happened, not why.
A lot of people want to know the why, though. I mean, are you avoiding the why?
Look, at the time, why's important, I think, but I suspect it's less important than you think. I think in the end, it's about taking responsibility for what you do. And at the time that mayhem is taking place, you look for 1,000 reasons why, and you can always find them.
I'd like to talk about faithfulness and fidelity a little bit more. Lyndall, tell us what happened to you just after you'd had your first child.
I actually thought Andrew was having an affair with just a friend of ours, and discovered, I thought it was a girlfriend, and discovered that he was actually having sexual relations with men. So not only did I discover cheating, I had a double whammy with also discovering about his sexuality. So, which was very traumatic at the time, because, our baby...
How long ago was this?
This was actually 17 years ago, and our first child was only about, a few weeks old. So it was really dealing with that as well. That was just... I don't think I've ever been in a situation like that before. So it was... And
Andrew, what was it about? Was it about wanting to have sex with men more than with women? Was it about exploring being gay, being bisexual? What was it about? Was it about the sex? Was it about emotional need?
Yeah, it was about the sex. I was in attraction to men as well as to women, and I was getting from men what I wasn't getting from Lyndall. And it was something that had been happening before we got together. Okay, I know that...
Did she know that before?
No, I didn't tell. It was my secret, my lie, and it wasn't until we'd been together for a couple of years, and that it actually came out.
So, Lyndall, how did you deal with that?
Terribly. Really, I think I was an emotional wreck. I was angry. I was hurt. I thought I would never be able to trust Andrew again or forgive him.
That sounds pretty normal to me. not terrible.
Yeah, and I think, see, for me too, I wasn't aware at the time. I'm more aware now that I had this belief that I wasn't good enough, but with the disclosure, I had changed that to belief that now I wasn't even enough. At least had it been a woman, I felt I could have got a boob job or, gone to the gym and worked on my body and my being. That's the way I thought back then. But with having to compete with a man, I just didn't have the equipment. So, I was now not enough.
So 17. So you're still together?
Yes.
So how did you get through this?
Look,
a long journey.
Yeah, it was a long journey.
So what's the deal now between the two of you?
We have a great sexual relationship. Yeah. I've bought my imitation equipment, so I can actually pleasure Andrew in the other way that he likes to be pleasured. We have a great, I think so, don't we?
Yeah.
Yeah. However, I've worked a lot on myself that I believe that if Andrew ever wanted to go out and have sex with a man just to get his rocks off, then that's great. I appreciate him for who he is and totally accept and embrace his whole person.
Okay,
Yeah.
and how, Andrew, would you feel if Linda went and got her rocks off, however she wanted to, with someone else?
I'd be okay with it, because we've also, part of the growing through what we went through was for me to learn to be honest, or for us to both be honest in our relationship, talk about what happens and what we also desire. But also we have an agreement that if there was a need to go and get your rocks off with someone else, we'd actually discuss it first. So it's something that we're open about. If the situation arises, then yeah.
See, every one of these stories we could stay and talk about for a very long time, and I want to get through a few of them, but I also want to ask people just what you think infidelity is, because it's different things to different people. Darryl, what do you think it is?
I think everyone's got different standards of it, because everybody's different. So some person's weird, someone else is bizarre, and someone's normal. So I think people have a different idea what infidelity is about. So some people say,
and
well, that's
for you,
not...
what is it for you?
I think it's making love to someone that's not your partner.
Emma, you discovered that your ex-husband was chatting to women online.
Yes.
When did that cross the line for you?
Well, it crossed the line probably immediately after I'd found out, because it wasn't as though he was on social networking sites. He was specifically chatting with people through pornographic sites and sites specifically targeted at sexuality.
But had he been using pornographic sites before that weren't chat rooms, that were just pornographic sites?
Oh, yes.
And how did you feel about that?
Look, I wasn't really in the know about it. I was very happy to be deeply entrenched in denial, because I had 2 small children with him, and to me, sacrificing my own feelings for the benefit of our family was the most important thing. So I sort of pretended as though none of it was happening. But once I found out there was chatting online as well, I don't know, I guess in hindsight, the sexual stuff was something that I could almost kid myself into living with, but the thought that he might be actually talking to those people as well was a deal breaker.
So making a connection in that context was the problem. Yes.
We've got this confusion where I suspect that women have sex for intimacy and men have sex merely as to get their rocks off. They're like little pressure cookers, and sometimes they need to go off. And if a woman crosses her legs and denies her partner's sex, I think she's very naive in thinking that her partner won't go out and pursue it elsewhere. It is nature that is demanding that he let off this little pressure cooker, and if a woman crosses her legs and denies him that opportunity, she needs to be able to provide him with some alternative, whether that be pornography or being able to pervert some strippers in a club, but she needs to negotiate some alternative for her husband if she loves him and wants him to be happy.
Phil, you're sitting here very quietly as Holly's partner. I wonder what you have to say about this.
I think that the relationship works both ways. If Holly feels she wants to go to have sex with other people, that's fine by me.
But how do you have sex without there being some emotional connection happening, or without there being some, not necessarily emotional connection, but the point that people have been making about, this idea that you can just miraculously always separate sex from emotion?
I think there is some element of emotion involved with sex. But in our relationship, we've agreed, by way of negotiation, what the boundaries of that emotion that we're prepared to let each other go as far with other people with is. And, we've spoken about the different reasons for that, but, the makeup of men and women are different. But it just to my mind, comes down to the trust within the relationship and the open communication between the two people.
Rosie King, you're a sex and relationship therapist. How do you define infidelity? Because we're getting lots of different descriptions here.
Well, I categorise infidelity in people who cheat into 3 categories. And the first are the opportunists, and that's where you get a bit drunk one night, or you meet someone at a bar, or you have the office party, and the opportunity comes back and you just do it, comes up and you just do it. Then there are the philanderers, all right? And these are, when they're men, they're called womanisers. If they're women, you know, we use pejorative terms like, you know, she's a slut or something like that. But these are people who love the novelty and the excitement of the chase. They sometimes they like anonymous sex, sometimes they like to have their ego stroked, right? But these are people who may have just one person or one person after another, or even a whole lot of people on the go, and they are serial philanderers. Now the third group are the disenchanted, right? And these are the people who have some sort of problem in their relationship. They're not completely happy in the relationship. Now you ask about whether it's all about sex. Now Gary Newman, who wrote Why Men Cheat, asked men about this in a survey, and he found that 60% of men said the reason they cheated was because they were emotionally dissatisfied. Right? They said that they weren't appreciated by their wives weren't caring or thoughtful enough. And 30% said it was about sex. And what's really interesting in my clinical practice is a lot of men tell me that sex outside their marriage is actually not as good as the sex they have inside the marriage. That in fact the sex they have with their wives is better. So I don't believe it's just about sex. I think it's a very complicated phenomenon.
Well, coming up, we're going to look at the notion of telling or not telling, whether it's better or worse to know your partner is being unfaithful. That's next on Insight.